You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Michael Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. I'm glad that you've joined me. This is a Friday evening. Today was a good day. Every Friday I shut my office down so that I can focus on other things. I'm writing a book at the moment on ethics. And it's the life of ethics within our own personal lives and how I look at it in the way that I've been touched by unethical activity and acts by people in my life. And so I thought, you know what, I need to write this book on ethics. So I spent some time today writing some chapters. It's one of those things that when you write a book and you're going back onto your past experiences, you get kind of depressed because you rethink about what had happened to you. But it's a good experience at the same time, too, because it reminds you of what to look at and what to listen for. So that you don't have to walk into that path again where ethics creates a crisis. So I decided to write this book. In fact, I thought about doing it over 10 years ago. I was going to do it. And like all of us, we procrastinate. And I'm the best procrastinator in the world. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it. So 2 weeks ago, I started writing. And I'm in the process of continuing on with the process. It's an amazing experience when you write and you think and you focus on what you are trying to get to. I wanted to talk tonight about, you know what, I'm just going to spit it out. I'm just going to say it. I am exhausted from the politics that we have been going through. I'm exhausted. No matter which television channel that you turn to or network that you turn to, even though that we have had this bombing incident, thank God no one was hurt, but the media continues to play this hate game. A hate game that is dangerous to us Americans because it develops into bigger hate. The individual who created all of these bombs probably was pushed to his limit as an individual. And he got so frustrated and so fed up that he said, yeah, I'm going to take it into my own hands. Because he had heard hate from all sides, Democrats and Republicans from all sides. We have been on the attack mode. And we have not been on the legitimate communication of discussing policy, of what is good for America. Americans have forgotten, the choice between good and evil. So they're no longer using common sense and making their decisions, so they follow. They're no longer independent in their thinking, but they follow. They follow whoever side, whatever side that they're on. So we, as Americans, have become followers. We have no longer become leaders. We've no longer become independent in our thinking. So even though after all of this hate and all of these bomb threats and all of these evil things that have happened in the last week and 2 weeks. Politics once again becomes evil. Because now media say, well, it's Trump's fault. And then the other side is saying, no, it's Maxine Walters' fault. It is Elizabeth Warren's fault. And the pointing keeps going on. And I think Americans are exactly where I stand at the moment, where we are exhausted of it all. No one is talking about policy or what's good for America, because it gets drowned out by hate. In this very hate that politicians and media push does damage to the safety of our nation, and to the safety of our liberties, and to the safety of our democracy. I now don't listen to any channel. I literally do not listen to any because I'm so tired. I'm so frustrated. I'm fed up. I've already voted. I've already made my decision, so I know where I stand. I knew as I went through all of the initiatives and all of the things on the ballot, I knew where I stand. The only thing I didn't know on judges, I didn't know one single name of those judges that were on that list. On my ballot, anyway, in California. But I'm exhausted. And now I want to take a deep breath, stay away from the media for a few days, limit my time with the media to 30 minutes a day, which I have been telling all of you should be doing. You should be limiting your intake of news to 30 minutes. And I mean news, not commentary, not little groups where they sit around bashing other people. Not that. That's not news. That's just journalism that has gone bad. But real news, some place where you can sit down and just listen to the news for 30 minutes. Once we get into this commentary and all of these circle of people that all they do is condemn and bash and attack the president and attack members of Congress and attack American people, and who promote the idea that it's time to shut people down. Don't let them talk anymore. Harass them in the restaurants, harass them at their homes, harass them in their offices. That has got to stop because it's worthless to Americans. We are watching this, and we are exactly making our decisions based upon the lunacy, the stupidity of politicians and media who continually bash. Now, if you want to sit down and if you want to discuss and if you want to debate an issue, that's good for America. But once you begin bashing someone instead of discussing or debating the policy or the issue, you're doing no good for America. You're doing absolutely no good. Calling of names, worthless. Bashing people, worthless. Lying on television, worthless. Pointing fingers at people, worthless. Because we don't know anything about how that politician believes, because everything is about hate, bashing, and it's worthless. I was thinking today because I had today off, and I turned on. I can't even remember which station I turned on. I turned something on, and it was playing in the background. And I was in my office, and my TV is way down the hall. But I could hear the conversations going on, and everybody was pointing fingers and how, listen, pointing fingers and spreading hate destroys the fiber of this nation. And as we destroy the fiber, it becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. Pretty soon the Constitution is being ignored. pretty soon our laws are being ignored, which is happening right now. And when we see politicians who say we want immigration reform, but then when we have a mob of individuals heading towards the border, waving their flags, their nation's flags, tells us right then that they do not want to be a part of America, but they want to drain America. And politicians who say they want to work on immigration reform, but during this whole time say nothing, means that politics means more to them than the safety of this nation or the safety of our families, our communities. So understand why I am so exhausted. I finally had to get up, go down the hall, turn the TV off, because I could tell that nothing was being accomplished except the pushing of a hateful agenda. Even though the President of the United States says Americans have got to come together and we have got to unify, and then when you turn the television on, you see that everybody is so full of hate that they don't want to unify. There's no unification out there. As soon as the first bomb threat came out this week, we had politicians immediately out there on Twitter, on Instagram, every place, on the media, pointing fingers. And once we knew that we were under attack by a terrorist act, we should have come together, but we didn't. Again, we had people pushing a hateful agenda, and they wonder why something like this could happen. Well, my friends, it can happen. People go nutso after a while, and they go out and they do their own thing. So, as I sigh, I'm exhausted. And the worst thing about this election is that the night of November 6th begins the campaign season for the office of the presidency all over again. No break. We get absolutely no break as Americans. But instead we go from one chaotic political season into another chaotic political season. We need a break from this politics. And I'm suggesting to you that it's time that we limit our intake from the media. It's not doing me any good listening to it. It's not doing you any good listening to it. It's just stirring the pot more and more and more. And pretty soon when that pot begins to boil, it can do damage. So let's not listen to the media as much as we have in the past. It's not doing it. You know how many podcasts there are out there? There are podcasts on every single subject. Some of them are funny, some of them are spiritual, some of them are mentally challenging, some of them are just plain old good talk. But news is a destructing force in America at the moment. So we've got to change as Americans. We're never going to change the media, but we can change ourselves. We can be more pro-American. We can be more pro-family, more pro-community, more church, more neighborhoods. Do you know how many children there are out there in school? School has just started in most communities across the nation. Do you know how many kids really need help in school? Do you know how that school would love for you to come in and tutor? Volunteer your time? If you want to make a difference, get involved in your community. If you want to make the world around you better, get involved. Adopt a tutoring child for one school season. Do you know that there are especially in California, there are so many families that cannot speak English. And the moms and dads cannot help their children in their schoolwork because they don't know how to read, nor do they know how to write or speak English. So that child is literally on its own. Get involved and help a child. And for those of you who are so worried about the children at the border whose parents have sent their children up and left them there, be more concerned about the 700,000 homeless children in America that need your help. Gosh, we as Americans, we have a lot of responsibility. But we always think somebody else is going to do it. We always think, well, the government will do it. No, the government never does it. The government never does it. It's up to you and me to get involved in our community. Now, I work most of my life in taxation and business. So I have helped since 1984. I have worked with small businesses and individuals. Excuse me. In individuals and groups that need help with business. And I literally sit here and I coach them from this microphone. And we talk about every single subject there is in the world as it relates to their business. I'm not the kind of business coach that goes rah, rah, rah. I'm not that. I'm not going to inspire you. But I will sit there and I will address the issue that you are concerned about and try to come to a resolution of how you can do it better or how you can solve the issue. And I don't think that we need so much rah, rah, rah. We need to get more involved in the issue of our communities. We have a lot of work to do as Americans. We have a lot to do. So let's forget about this politics. Make your decisions based on common sense, not on party, but based on common sense on the issues that affect this nation. If you can do that, you can make a better decision and walk away from it knowing that you made a good decision. That is what we need to do. But listening to hate continually is not going to solve anything. Get involved. Sit down with your kids and see what their needs are. Sit down with your parents and see what their needs are. Go to your local church and say, hey, what programs do you have to help our local community and how can I get involved? So, let's not be exhausted anymore. If we're going to be exhausted, let's become exhausted from what we are doing and not by what we are hearing politically. If you have any questions, send me an email at mlodge@lodge-co.com. I will try and answer any question that you have. If I don't have the answer, I will find you the answer. Let's be committed to doing. Forget about the politics. Make your decisions based on common sense. What is good and what is bad. then walk away from it and get involved with your community. This is Mike Lodge. I will talk with you soon.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
World of Business and Taxes on WBT.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.